This is Living Your Life Well Planned, the 80-20-365 system invented by Adam Vincent Gilmer. And I'm your host here, Gene Velitis. On this episode, we're going to talk about planning your first 30 days. And as we always do on every podcast, we encourage you to go to Adam's website, 80-20-365.com, and order your daily planner. Trust me, because I'm a student as well, as soon as you have your daily planner, you will take it with you everywhere. It's how you will start your day. It's how you will review your day halfway through. And at the end of the day, it's going to tell you how your day went. You're going to have to score your day. So there's a lot of accountability. So in this episode, we're going to get into talking about how to plan your first 30 days. But since our last episode, we haven't dropped any podcast for about a couple of months here. So we're just getting back in case you're joining us. And I've been checking the analytics. We've had a lot of people downloading the podcast in North America and also Europe and the Middle East. Adam, it's great to see you again. COVID-19 changed everything around. You're an entrepreneurial guy. And well, a lot of people were closing down businesses, losing money, complaining about everything. You suddenly started a new business. And I know, I'll let you talk about the business in a second, but you are so busy. I mean, I couldn't even get a hold of you on the phone, and we're really, really good friends. Now, I know that when you're not taking my calls, you're busy, and that means you're making money. And I'm guessing for a fact, a whole bunch of people said, Adam, you are the luckiest guy in the world. You're so lucky. You're making all this extra money in the middle of this COVID-19 thing. Adam is so lucky. He's so lucky. He's the luckiest guy in the world. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about one of my best friends. This guy is not lucky at all. So can you address your new business that you started during this thing and tell people why I'm right? You are not lucky.
Oh my goodness. You have to take advantage of the opportunities that are being presented. And I think what happens, Gene, is a lot of people don't realize that even though it's a pandemic, that doesn't mean that there is a lack of opportunity. It actually means that if you're listening and watching and you're entrepreneurial, you'll see ways of saying, hey, we can really monetize this. So I don't know the exact date, but my other company, Thrive, has been in business almost 10 years. And we have an FDA manufacturing and storage facility here in San Juan Capistrano. And I have an FDA number. So long story short, when I heard that there was a shortage of masks in the United States, I immediately jumped on that bandwagon, made the right inroads, and found a FDA manufactured mask that would work globally. And we started importing those masks and selling them to large organizations and hospitals and things. And that business blew up very, very big in the last 90 days. And that's why, but once again, we're supplying Jim Rohn, and we talked about this in some of the other episodes. He said, find a way to serve the many because service to many leads to greatness. And, how do you find a way to solve a problem in New York, solve a problem in Texas, solve a problem in what you name the state that has a lot of people in it? And people needed a particular mask, and they needed to be certified, they needed to be approved, needed to be tested, needed to have an FDA number. And I simply went out and made sure those things were in place. And next thing you know, we're in that industry. Mm-hmm. So if the definition of luck is when preparation meets opportunity, then I was definitely prepared and I understood the opportunity. So therefore I created my own luck.
Right. And and when you have a purpose and you have a goal, it changes everything around. I know that through this pandemic, one of the biggest complaints I've heard from people is, oh, we're so tired of Netflix and we're so tired of binge watching this and we're tired of this and tired of that. And we just want to get our hair cut. Real entrepreneurs don't binge watch Netflix. They see the opportunity at hand. If they've been following this course, they already have a purpose statement. And
right.
It's simply a matter of pivoting from one purpose to another, changing on the move, and coming up with a new business and becoming successful. So how, and this is going to be an interesting question before we get into our first 30 days of planning. This is my question, and I'm wording it purposely. How easy was it for you to pivot because you had so many things like your purpose statement already in place?
It was actually very simple to move forward. It was an, answering, part of my purpose statement when I read it before, and I read it again this morning, was about helping others, right? So while, just put it in perspective, while some people were charging $7 and $8 and $10 for masks, we were wholesaling the masks at like, $2.25, $2.50. Okay, so people were going online and people were finding that we were a lot less expensive than some of the others, and we had a direct source, and we were able to move very, very rapidly in that space. And then that opened up other doors. So once again, I come from a place of being abundant, right? I think there's enough money in the world for everybody. I think there's enough food in the world for everybody. I think the powers that be, and I don't get too political here on our podcast, but the powers that be have major challenges with how money's moved and who has it and what have you. And I also find in the regular business world, there's a lot of jealousy. But you understand that, I've had, and like you, Gene, we've had 30 years of training, sales and marketing training in the direct sales industry. And it's the same thing, except we don't have let's say a downline sales organization in this new company. The connecting with people, the making a friend, the building of trust, the building of a relationship, all those things that we talked about as part of the planning and training system is what's allowed the successes to happen in our company, in that other company, in a very, very short period of time. The same skill sets are used. It's just we just implemented something different.
Mm-hmm. Really easy. Yeah, like I said, really, really easy, and no luck involved. So I really wanted to talk about that because I know a lot of people have been and continue to sweat through this thing. But if you pivot and you change your mindset, and if you use this system, it can be incredibly life-saving. Well, listen, let's get into the 80/20/365 system. If you have your daily planner with you, open it up. If not, again, I just can't emphasize how important it is for you to go to the website and order your daily planner, because it's your roadmap to life. Adam and I have always said, if you do not set goals in your life, you'll realize them anyway, which is nothing. So why not have a goal and realize something spectacular and understand, as we've been talking, that it has nothing to do with luck. It has to do with purpose. It has to do with a daily plan, and it has to do with following through and simply staying connected to that plan. So daily planner. In the next couple of podcasts here, we're going to talk about your 30-day plan, your 90-day plan, 180-day plan, your one-year plan. Let's talk about your 30-day plan. Where do we get started? And why a 30-day plan at first? Why not like 7 days? Explain why a 30-day plan.
Well, just after COVID-19, I'm in California now, and I see a lot of gyms opening up, restaurants opening up, and then on the news today I heard bars are shutting down in Texas and Florida, and this crazy things on the rise again, right? So why a 30-day plan? I just started back at our local gym here, which was less than 7 days ago. Okay. And, yes, I worked out from home, and, yes, I went on hikes every single day and what have you, but I'm still a little stiff and sore from being at the gym over the last, call it 6 days, actually 5 days, really. But, I have to equate it to that, because that's the experience I'm living through. And you're asking the question is like, I was used to going to the gym, even though I traveled 467,000 miles last year, going country to country to country. Every continent except Antarctica was touched. And, I kept my workout routine the same. It was always, I'd land, get into the hotel. Normally I stay at Marriott's globally. And because they have a good workout place, they have a steam room and what have you, just like the country club I'm at here. And there's a familiarity in making that work. Well, the country club was obviously closed the last 90 days. And so I substituted steam shower for steam room, steam shower at the house versus steam shower, steam room. And substituting weights, so I don't have a full gym equipment here at the house. I have some equipment here at the house. So I got back to the gym and I'm sore, right? So, and I understand though that by being consistent, not only 7 days, 14 days, over 30 days, I'll start to see massive gains and results in 30 days time. And why a 30-day game plan is because that's how the world is. I mean, there's a new moon and there's the ending moon and there's a full moon, right? I mean, this is how the world works. This is the environment that we're in. So everything's running on a 30, 28, 31-day schedule. And you want to plan your life around, hey, what are your next 30 days look like? And plus, once that becomes a habit, because during the first 7, 14, 21 days, you're teeter-tottering, your mind's expanding, it's getting new ideas, and it's like, can I keep this up? And can I keep planning and organizing? And the answer is you can. You start to see these little successes, but it's just like going back to the gym, Gene, you're sore. It's going to hurt. It's like getting back on the horse again. It's familiar, but it's the muscles aren't used to it. The mind in this instance isn't used to it. It isn't used to following a schedule where you're focused on high payoff activities versus the trivial many, the 80s, that affect us every day, that try and pull you away from your top 20. And that's why you want to have a focus for 30 days so that you can get familiar again with reorganizing, restructuring, rescheduling, how your brain's working. And then after 30 days, Ivan Pavlov used to ring the bell with the dogs. They'd salivate, they'd eat, salivate, eat, salivate, eat, and then no more food. You just ring the bell and the dogs will start salivating. They become conditioned. And I guess to answer your question is the reason why 30 days, so you can get good conditioning for the next 60, 90, 120, 12 months, okay? Because, for things, Jim Rohn said, for things to change, you have to change. Everybody's expecting that life, none of us knew how to go through this pandemic, and we're still not through it. Airlines still aren't traveling at capacity. If we left now, when summer would be in 14-day lockdown in another country. Australia just announced they're not letting anybody new into the country. There's a ban against US citizens traveling abroad. Not a ban that you can't travel, a ban that once you land, you have to go into quarantine for 4 days. For 14 days to make sure you don't have this thing. Why 30 days at a time? You've got to get conditioned and organized. And while we did take the last 3 months off, I was still planning and organizing every single day. It's really hilarious, but look, I go through and I show people, everything's planned and organized, everything's written out, everything's put together. It's hilarious, but people say, well, gee whiz, why are you successful? What have you? Well, I'm actually working on another new book, and this is going to really blow the doors off of people's minds. But I'm going to call this one my first $100 million. Okay. And people are going to be like, well, how the hell did you manage to accomplish that? Well, once again, found a need that needed to be filled. And if you follow the philosophy, find a way to serve the many, for service to many leads to greatness. I found a way, I found a product, I found an idea. By the way, didn't invent the product, didn't own the product. Owned the intellectual website and the know-how and the attorney's relationship. I've had that relationship for 18 years. So these are the things that went in together to make an amazing transformation happen over the last 90 days. Transformation, not so much in my mindset, but transformation in financial output, okay? And that's a massive thing, but it all started, I remember our first 30 days of getting into that business. And every day, and this is not going to sound strange, but when you find a way, if I didn't have this planning system, if I didn't create it, I found a way to stay organized, neat, tidy. And then I noticed something else over the first 30 days, getting through that process. And that was this, is that, you know what, I didn't need as much sleep. Gene, I was getting up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. and working the whole day, going out for my walk, getting it done, getting my workout done, then straight back on WhatsApp, contacting people. And we ended up shopping now having 5,700 hospitals that I never had before. Okay. Part of our client base now, which is where then they're regularly looking for product to be fulfilled through various different vendors. And it could be, hand sanitizer, gloves, masks. Okay. And we stayed very, very focused on what we were doing. And then, the team also stayed focused. And this is why, I saw your texts and messages and everything else coming in, and I'm like, and you're important, but but when you find a way to hit some serious financial gains, it's amazing. Not only the mindset difference a person has, but the work ethic and the energy that goes up. And that's why having your first 30 days completely planned out, organized, and by the way, also allowing some change, right? I mean, you have to improvise, overcome, and adapt, because crazy stuff's going to happen. Okay.
Yeah. And we've talked about this before, scoring your day at the end of your day. And that's going to be a way to see if you are on track. And we talked about this in a previous podcast. So, just to wrap up this episode, because the next one is going to be about planning your first 90 days. For people who've got their daily planner and they've got it open right now, and they're just getting into this, and they're brand new, they're newbies, they're rookies. Just briefly go through, how you do this first 30 days. What's the beginning, middle, and end?
On the website, we have a way for you to get started. It's a simple 30-day calendar planning system that we put together. So, you get that, you download it, and it's going to walk you through everything. It's also going to help you set the goals and the agenda for these 6 areas: being, brain, body, time, people, and money.
Right.
And, you're going to schedule specific quality power hour times around each one of those categories. And you're going to sit down and write out. Now, listen, it takes a little bit of concentration and work. It's not an SAT test. You're not graduating from college. You don't have to put a ton of massive preparation in. You just have to sit down in a nice quiet area and get it done. But I want people to realize something. That's the price you have to pay in order to move your life forward. It's going to take some conscious effort on your part to sit down and go through the module. And once you go through the module, then you'll be in a different place. And then you're like, okay, then that's out of the way. And by the way, it's where we are right now. I'm about to start my third. Here's the first quarter, and here's the second quarter.
Of course, okay? Yep.
And that's the first 3 months, last 3 months. And now I'm going to start July, August, September, quarter 3. And I'm going to sit down and plan, and I'll make sure the wife and kids and people are, out. I'll turn off my phones. I'll be in a nice quiet place. I'll play some nice, classical guitar music in the background, or maybe shakuhachi music, a Japanese flute. And I just allow, and I sit there and I plan and organize them. And it's my alone time, with a creator or consciousness to say, hey, listen, let's focus. And that's what you have to do for the first 30 days. And by the way, I do this every 30 days. It's not a one-time thing, but it's a habit that you get into doing. And then you start to glean from it. You start to receive the results from the planning, and you start to see certain things are working for you. And the game plan is to spend a lot of time on those certain things over and over and over again, and you become amazingly successful.
And this is why I started off this podcast by saying my friend Adam Vincent Gilmer is not lucky. And if he has time to do this, I think anybody has time to do this. I always find it interesting that people always say, oh, I'm so busy. I don't know if I can do this. I'm so busy. I'm so busy. I'm so busy. And I always say to people, well, if being busy was really, really difficult, nobody would be busy. Using that as an excuse is just really an excuse. And I mean, like, you're working like 24 hours a day for the last 3 months. If you have time to sit down and do this, anybody has time to sit down and do this.
You got to make the time, and it's worthwhile making the time, because what's more important than the current life that you're living is designing that new life that you want to live. And you have to have some new habits. And I can't make new habits appear in you. You know, if you're watching as the listener or the viewer here today, maybe you're listening to us on podcast, maybe you're watching online, wherever you're getting this message. I cannot make you have the successful mindset. You've got to develop it. But if you do the exercises, you plan 30 days, you come back and you look at your 30 days, you're like, oh my goodness, here's my actual results. Then you get into the next one, next one, next one. And you
In our next podcast, we're going to talk about your first 90 days and what that's all going to mean, because it's a lot different from the first 30 days. But once you get that first 30 days down, what I found when I first started doing this, it got easier and easier and easier. And it also got incredibly more exciting as well as we go along. So once again, as we wrap up this episode, do yourself a favor. Go to the website, get your daily planner, order enough for a whole year because you're going to use them up very, very quickly. And trust me, because this has happened to me, it's going to become like your cell phone. I remember my first morning when I misplaced my daily planner and I couldn't find it. And if you've ever lost your cell phone and you've had that feeling in your stomach and you've just, like your life is gone and turned into a complete mess, this is what will happen with your daily planner as well. It will become a part of your life. So in our next podcast with Adam Vincent Gilmer here on 80/23/65, we'll talk about the first 90 days and how that's going to work out. So let me just say, on behalf of my friend, the incredibly not lucky Adam Vincent Gilmer, working on his new book, My First $100 Million, it's not about luck. I'm your host, Gene Velitis, and we'll see you on the next podcast here on 80/23/65, the Adam Vincent Gilmer Success System. See you on the next podcast.